It's a game called Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride, you are making train routes. Very exciting, but it actually ends up being a lot of fun. What's going to happen is each one of you is going to be a different color. Each of you is going to then knock over the pieces of the board. Each of you is going to have a circle of that color, and this is going to be used on this score track running around the board. And then you're going to have trains of your color as well. Ultimately, you're going to be completing train routes that are connecting different cities to each other. And what's going to happen at the beginning of the game is everyone's going to get 3 of these destination tickets. Destination tickets tell you 2 different cities they are ultimately trying to make a route connecting those 2 cities. So you're going to get 3. You either keep 2 or 3. It's your choice. And the other one we're going to put at the bottom of the deck. So everyone now has 2 routes they're trying to complete or 3 routes they're trying to complete. Those are going to be kept secret for the game. Other players won't know which routes you had until the game is over. On your turn, there's 3 things you can do. One thing you can do is you can draw these train cards from right here. So there's always going to be 5 cards face up, and then there's going to be a draw pile. So there's always going to be these cards face up, and there's going to be a draw pile of cards right here. So I can take, let's say I take 1 card. As soon as I take this card, I then replace it with a second card, and I take a second card, and I replace it. If at any point I don't want to draw any of the cards that are out there, I can draw cards from the top of the deck instead. So for my 2 cards, I could draw these 2, or I could take 1 of these and then 1 from the top of the deck. The only restriction, as you'll see, is each of these is a different color, but this one here is a wild card, and so that card can be any card you want. Because it's more powerful, there's a bit of a restriction on whether or not you're able to take it. So if this card is face up and I take it, that's the only card I can take instead of taking 2 cards. And if I take 1 card, let's say I take 1 card and then a wild card comes out, or there was a wild card out on the board, I can't take the wild card as my second card. The only exception to that is if I draw a wild card randomly from the top of the deck, goes into my hand, then I can take a second card. So nobody can know what this card is, so if it is a wild card, they don't know that, and I keep on going and I take my second card. So that's one thing you can do is you can take cards. Second thing you can do is you can use those cards to complete a train route. So if I have 4 blue cards in my hand, which would be represented by these 3 blue cards in a wild, for example, I can play those 4 blue cards, and now I can complete any train route that is blue. So the fact that these are blue, and there's a player with blue trains, that doesn't matter. But playing 4 blue cards would allow me to complete a train route of 4 units long that's blue. So let's say I want to complete this train route from Helena to Winnipeg. I would take 4 train cars like this, place them on the board, and then I would discard these 4 cards. When you claim a train route, you are the only one who has that train route. Nobody else can now also place trains on that route. The exception to that is there are some train routes where there are multiple routes running parallel to each other. So if I played 3 red cards, I would get these 3. Nobody else can claim the train route from Salt Lake City to Denver using red cards, but they can do it using the yellow cards. So we can go like that. As far as the parallel routes are concerned, no one player can claim both, so blue couldn't take both of these routes. And if you only have 2 or 3 players, then you ignore the unused route of the parallel route. So once the blue player took these 3 spots, if there's only 2 or 3 people playing the game, nobody can take these yellow cards. Whenever you complete a route, you're going to get points based on how many car lengths long that route is. So there's a card right here. This is also spelled out in the rule book. If the road is 3 car lengths long, which is what this one is, I would get 4 points. So the longer that road is, the more points you get. You're going to track those points on the score track here by moving your thing up around the board. The other thing you'll notice is that some of the tracks between 2 cities are actually gray. These are basically, they can be sets of any color of your choice. So if I traded in 2 blue cards, I could use them on a track that's 2 blue lengths long, but I also could use it on a track that's 2 gray lengths long. So gray can be whatever color you want. as long as all the cards in that set are the same color as each other, or obviously a wild card. The third thing you can do on your turn is you can draw more destination tickets. When you draw destination tickets, you draw 3 from the ticket pile. You then have to keep at least one of these, and you can keep up to 3. So you take 1, 2, or 3 that you're going to keep. The ones you don't take go face down at the bottom of the pile. We're going to go along. We're going to fill in this road, but we're going to fill in this map. And at some point, one of you is going to place trains, and you're going to look at your remaining train cards, your remaining train pieces, and you're only going to have 0, 1, or 2 left. Whenever that happens, everyone is going to get one more turn, including the player who is down to their last few train pieces. They're each going to take their last turn, and the game's going to be over, and we're going to do end of game scoring. End of game scoring, we've already gotten the points for the roads we were building, but this is where we score the points for our tickets. So if I have here Winnipeg to Houston, and I'm the blue player. So if I have the tickets for Winnipeg to Houston, and I've completed a train route that connects Winnipeg to Houston, I'm going to get 12 points. It doesn't matter how indirect that train route is. It can go all around the country. As long as there is a continuous line of trains of my color connecting Winnipeg to Houston, I get these 12 points. If there's not, I lose the 12 points. So that's why you want to be a bit careful about which of the destination tickets you take. You can add those points to how many points you have on the score tracker. And the final way you're going to be able to get points is we're going to do a bonus for the longest path, which for those of you who have played Settlers, is going to be sort of analogous to the longest road. So what you're going to do is you're going to count up how many cars there are in your longest consecutive string of cars. Those cars, let's say we had a scenario like this, where it's split off, or like this. This is one continuous path, or this is one continuous path. But you have to sort of choose which of these two splitting off ends you're going to go with. But the road could theoretically loop back around. You could have a road like this, right? So as long as you don't count the same car twice, whatever the longest continuous string of cars that you have is, that's sort of the road that you're submitting for your longest path. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 14, 17, 21. This would be a continuous path of 21 cars. Whoever has the longest such path is going to get the longest route bonus card, which is going to be worth 10 points at the end of the game. If 2 players are tied for the longest path, then they each get those 10 points. Obviously, at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. If there's a tie, then it goes to whoever has the most completed destination tickets. That's your tiebreaker. If you're still tied, according to the rule book, the next tiebreaker is which one of you got the longest path bonus. And it doesn't say in the rule book, but I guess if you're still tied, then it's just a tie. That's how you play Ticket to Ride.